Yo, what's going on guys? ESG here with another FPL video. FPL has been launched fully today, so we can finally start to build our initial drafts. So in today's video, I'm going to be taking you through what my initial draft does look like, and what my Game Week 1 team would line up as with this current draft. If you do enjoy the video, please hit that like button, and subscribe if you are new. And with that being said, let's get into what my draft looks like. So starting off with the goalkeepers that I've gone for in my initial draft. So I have gone for Sanchez and Turner. I've gone for a 4.5 and a 4 million. Sanchez from Chelsea, it's looking like he's going to be the starting keeper for Chelsea. If he's not, Petrovic is there for the same price, so I can switch him in. But with Chelsea's run of fixtures, yes, they have Man City to start, but after that, they have a really good run. I think having a Chelsea defender or goalkeeper is going to be worth it. So for a goalkeeper at 4.5, I don't think you can really go wrong. A lot of people are going for a 4.5 keeper this year, whether it be Flecken or Henderson. So them Chelsea goalkeepers being the same price, I think that's a no-brainer to go for one of them. And then that 4 million is just a bench filler. He won't be coming on at all, really. But I think Turner from Nottingham Forest could potentially get a couple of games if Sells gets injured, so he's one to keep an eye on. But definitely a 4.5 million keeper I will be going for. Whether it's Sanchez or not, I don't know, but for now I've gone for Sanchez there. Moving on to the defenders that I've gone for, so starting off with William Saliba. Defensively last season, Arsenal were incredible. They kept so many clean sheets, and Saliba and Gabriel, both of them were getting on the scoreboard a little bit. So I was between Saliba and Gabriel. I just feel like Saliba is guaranteed more game time than Gabriel, especially with Calafiori potentially coming into that Arsenal team. Gabriel's minutes could be reduced a little bit, but Saliba, with how good he was, I think he starts near enough every game. I've then gone for. Go with Trent Alexander-Arnold next. Adding up at 7 million this season, it's a million cheaper than last season, and I think with the run of fixtures that Liverpool have to start the league, you need a Liverpool defender in there, especially with Ipswich to start. If Trent is playing it's more of a midfield role as well, he is the one to go for. There are some cheaper ones like Kanate, Kwanzaa, Van Dijk, but I think the only one of them that is guaranteed minutes would be Van Dijk. I think Kwanzaa and Kanate could be rotating a bit. So for 6 million in Van Dijk, I would rather pay that million extra and go for Trent, who is probably going to get forward a lot more to get them assists, maybe goals. My 4 million that I've gone for Harwood Bellis, mainly as a bench filler. He won't be playing for me, and I just needed a 4 million to put there. He might get some minutes for Southampton, so if he does need to come on off the bench, then he's there. But again, just a bench filler. I've then gone for two 4.5 million defenders in Konsa and Gahey. That will be changing based on how pre-season goes, but I'm definitely going to be going for a Villa defender and a Palace defender, and I'll show you why in a minute, based on the rotation that you can have with them. So as discussed on my defenders part that I did then, I am going to be going for a Villa and a Palace defender, and this is the exact reason why. It's because of the Villa and Palace defender pivot that you can have on set game weeks. So if you look at the fixtures that both of them have, I've gone for the first 7 game weeks here. That will be changing based on what they do have, but we'll go with the first 7 weeks for now, just because it's a bit of a longer period. So if we look at Villa, I've gone for Konsa and Gahey because that's just who was in my team. But if we look at Villa, they've got West Ham week 1, then Arsenal on the second week, then Leicester, then Everton, then Wolves, then Ipswich, then Man United. And if we look at Gahey from Palace, they've got Brentford to start, then West Ham, then Chelsea, then Leicester, then Man U, then Everton, then Liverpool. So it gets a bit tough later on. So probably after that 4th game week, you might be looking at taking Gahey out for something like maybe Dan Burn, Aitneri, something like that. But for the first few weeks, that rotation that you can have between them is incredible. For that first game week, you could go for either one. You've got Villa away to West Ham and Palace away to Brentford. Either one of them, I would say, is good to go for. I'll personally be going for the Villa defender there against West Ham, because I feel like Villa defensively are probably a bit better than Palace. But then for that second game week, because Villa have Arsenal, you can then bring in Mark Gahey against West Ham. Might not keep a clean sheet, but they are at home, so there is that potential, and they have been alright under the manager that they do have. For that third game week, Palace are against Chelsea, so you don't want them in. But look at that, Villa are against Leicester. Perfect game against a promoted side. Hopefully get a clean sheet in that. For the game week after that, you can again go for either one. You've got Palace against Leicester, or Villa at home to Everton. So either or there is really good. You then have Villa against Wolves. Again, that Villa defender is incredible, and Villa against Ipswich. So having that Villa defender is going to be perfect. After that, you might want to take one of them out. For me, it'll be taking the Palace defender out and bringing in another 4.5 million. But for the first few weeks, you do have that pivot, which I am really liking and I'm leaning towards with one of them. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you like that pivot, or is there a different pivot that you do like more? So moving on to my midfield next, I think a lot of people are going to look at this and be like, you've not got Saka, you've not got Palmer, what's going on? But this is just a template for now. This is my initial draft. It will be changing along the line. But I'm going to give you my reasoning behind the players that I do have in. So I'm going to start off with the most expensive in Mo Salah. Ipswich game week 1, and then a favourable run after that other than United in game week 3. I think Salah is a no-brainer, or at least one Liverpool player in midfield or attack is a no-brainer with the games that they do have. So I've gone for Salah personally because he's going to be on penalties and he has that track record of playing so well. He's an excellent captaincy option for game week 1 and potentially game week 2 because I think they might be against Brentford at home. And then even against United, he likes to deliver against United. I think he's scored in every game against them so far. So again, Salah is that one to go for personally, and he's going to be in my team no matter what. I've then gone for Foden at 9.5 million. That's solely because of how well he played last season. He's cheaper than Palmer and Saka. Yes, he won't be on penalties, and yes, he might be a minutes risk, but I do think he's going to get a lot of minutes in that City team again this season. And if he's playing as more of a cam role or a left-sided cam role, he can easily cut inside and get that finesse off like he was doing last season. So I think he'll be a big goal scorer yes again. And they have a decent run of fixtures as well. Yes, they're against Chelsea in that first week, but Chelsea defensively, we don't know how they're going to play, especially under a new manager. And that's another reason that I've not gone for Palmer. Because of the new manager, we don't know how many minutes Palmer will get. And I don't personally think he'll get as many penalties as last season. So that's the only reason that I've not gone with Palmer. I've then gone with Gordon at 7.5 million. Gordon last season at home, incredible. I think everybody can admit that. I'm not saying Gordon's one that you can't go without, but if you don't go with Gordon, I feel like I would regret it if I don't go with him because I know for a fact he will deliver. And with Southampton at home on that first game week, I think it is a no-brainer really to have one or two Newcastle players in there. Hence why I've gone for Gordon. I think he'll get a goal or two and maybe an assist against Southampton. I could be completely wrong, but that's just the way that I'm thinking at this moment in time. But I want your thoughts on that. Are you going to be going with Gordon or against Gordon for that sole purpose? I've then gone for two 6.5 millions. So I'll start off with Nkunku. If anybody saw Nkunku play at Leipzig, he was incredible. And with him coming back from injury, he had a good few games last season, towards the end of the season, and looked really good. I think if in pre-season he's playing really well, he's going to be sticking in my team. And especially because I'm not going for Palmer and I wanted a Chelsea player in there because of the fixtures that Chelsea have, I think Nkunku for that 6.5 is an absolute steal if he plays every game. Again, in pre-season, it might look like he's not playing a lot, and he will be coming out of my team, and I'll be reshuffling it. But for now, for 6.5, I can't say no to Nkunku when I'm not going for Palmer. I think he'll get a lot of goals, a lot of assists, and he'll be playing more of like a centre forward or cam role, so can get quite a few goals and create a lot of play. I've then gone for Leon Bailey from Aston Villa. Villa's fixtures, as we saw before on that concert spread, he looked real. They looked really good. And last season, Bailey was extremely good when he was playing. With Diaby potentially leaving to go to Saudi, Bailey is guaranteed more game time. And I feel like not having him in, again, I would personally regret it because last season, when I didn't have him in, he got a lot of points. So I've gone for Bailey on the sole purpose of Diaby's probably leaving. He's guaranteed more game time and he looked really good last season. That could change in pre-season. He might, again with Nkunku, he might not play a lot in pre-season, so might not end up going for him. But as a template, I think he's good to have there, just in case he does, because I feel like he will deliver quite a lot. Finally, moving on to the forwards that I've gone for. So I've gone for Ollie Watkins, João Pedro, and Alexander Isak. So I'll start off with Ollie Watkins there. as a lot of people can see, I've not got Haaland in, and this is a Haalandless draft, and there are many reasons for that. One of them being his price tag. If I went for Haaland, it would cut out a lot of other players that I could go for. So I think Ollie Watkins lure at 9 million, which is 6 million cheaper, is a lot better asset personally. They've got a better run of fixtures long term, 6 million cheaper, and last season he got a lot of goals and assists. And I think this season he'll do the exact same, if not better. Yes, he might not be on penalties, but we don't know yet with that ability who is going to be on penalties. And in pre season, if they do get a penalty, Watkins could be taking it. And if he does, again, that's a no brainer to have him in. If he's not on penalties, you can go without. Um, but me personally, I'm going to be going for Watkins because of the run of fixtures that they have. I think he'll get a lot of goals, as I've said. He'll get a lot of assists. And last season when we saw him there, he was getting forward a lot, and he does get those runs in behind, and he scores in the big games, which I like in a striker. So Ollie Watkins is a definite lock-in for my current team. I'll then go for Alexander Isak, 8.5. Again, cheaper than Haaland, and the fixtures that they have are really good. Starting off at home to Southampton, and he's on penalties. So if they ever get a penalty, he's going to be on them no matter what. And towards the end of last season, he became the first choice striker for under Eddie Howe. And I think this season won't be any different. He'll be that first choice striker. He'll be on penalties. And again, he got a lot of goals. And at home to Southampton, I just can't say no. So having Isak and Gordon from Newcastle for that first fixture sounds perfect to me personally. I'm then gone for João Pedro from Brighton. This was a toss-up between João Pedro and Muniz from Fulham, but I went for João Pedro on the sole purpose that last season he was on penalties. That could be different this season. They've got a new manager, so somebody else could be on penalties. But if in pre-season he looks like he's on penalties again, for 5.5, I can't say no to him either. I think this front three is locked in for me for that first game week. I can't see Haaland coming in, even though they have it switched that second game. I just can't see it. I've got Foden. I could be going for something like Gavardiol as well. So not having Haaland, I'm willing to go without him with the team that I currently have. But with João Pedro, he's probably guaranteed on penalties, and he was Brighton's top scorer last season. And I think this season he'll do the exact same under a new manager, if not better. But I want your thoughts in the comments. What do you think about that? Do you agree with that front three, or is there players that you think I'm missing, or is there different players that you're going to be going for? So before I do get into what my final team is looking like for that first game week, I do just want to go through a couple of players that are on my watch list that I am keeping an eye on in pre-season to potentially come into my team before that game week 1 deadline. So starting off with Anthony Robinson, a 4.5 million defender. Last season for Fulham, he was playing really well and gets forward quite a lot from that left back position. And with the fixtures that they have, I think they are quite favourable for the first few weeks. Man United away isn't going to be the best, but as everyone knows with Man United, you don't really know how they are going to perform. And Fulham could have a field day there, and if Robinson can get forward on that left-hand side, it could cause them a bit of trouble. But then Leicester at home, Ipswich away, and West Ham at home, I think are three really good fixtures for Fulham. And with Robinson in that left back role getting forward, I think he's probably guaranteed one or two assists in those games. So definitely one that I am keeping an eye on in pre-season to see if he is getting forward as much as last season. I would then probably look to take him out from about game week 5 because that's when some fixtures start to get a bit tough with Newcastle in there and Man City, sorry, and Aston Villa. But he's definitely one that I am keeping my eye on. Another player that I'm keeping an eye on is Eze in midfield. With Elise leaving Palace, I feel like Eze is going to have to step in a lot more. He'll be in a lot more set pieces and potentially penalties. Even though there's Mateta there as well, I think Mateta's minutes could be reduced because of Eduard up front as well. So I think Eze is guaranteed game time and maybe guaranteed on set pieces. And for 7 million, he's definitely one to keep an eye on. With the fixtures that they do have, they've got Brentford away first game, then West Ham at home. But in game week 4, they have Leicester at home, which is really good. Again, though, the fixtures were off a bit with having Man United, Everton, and Liverpool there, as well as Chelsea in game week 3. So he's one that I'm keeping an eye on, but he's not one that I'm desperate to get into my game week 1 team. But maybe at some point, if he does look like he's playing really well and he's maybe on penalties, I might be looking at bringing him in just as a bit of a wild card that a lot of other people might not be going for. The final player that I am keeping an eye on is one that I mentioned earlier, and that is Manice from Fulham. Last season, he wasn't starting too many games, hence why I've not really gone for him. But when he did start, he played really well. He got 9 goals and 2 assists, which for a striker isn't a lot, but when you're not starting a lot of games, that's understandable. And I feel like this season he'll start a lot more than he did last season. With the games that they have, I think he is one to be keeping an eye on, especially with having Leicester and Ipswich in there in the first 3 weeks. The only thing putting me off is that Man United home game, and because I don't know how many minutes he is going to get. If in pre-season it looks like he's playing a lot more than last season, then definitely I'm going to be considering bringing him in and maybe taking João Pedro out and Trent out and bringing in a cheaper defender so that I can fit Maniz in. But he's definitely one on my watch list that I'm going to be keeping an eye on very closely in pre-season just to see how he is playing. But I want your thoughts in the comments. What do you think about those 3 players that I've just been through? Are they ones that you're going to be considering, or are you going to be steering clear because of minutes and because of the teams that they play for? So now that I've been through the players that are in my initial draft and a few of the players that are on my watch list that I'm looking at bringing in, I thought it best to go through what my team would line up as if I am to stick with these players that are in my initial draft. So this is for game week 1. So I would start off with Sanchez in net. I know that they're against Man City, but I can't really start Turner in net for that first game week, especially when he probably won't be playing. So whatever 4.5 million goalkeeper I go for will be that one starting in net. Whether it's Flecken, whether it's Henderson, whether it's Sanchez, Petrovic, whoever, they will be the goalkeeper that I start with for that game week. Coming into defence, I then have Konsa, Saliba, and Trent. Konsa is, yes, he's against West Ham, but I feel like Villa defensively will be a lot better this season than last season, and I would rather go for Konsa than Gahey personally for that first game week, starting in my team. Saliba then against Wolves at home, for the sole fact that last season Arsenal were so good defensively and they have that track record. I feel like that's got clean sheet written all over it. I know Wolves were looking good last season, but for the first game, I think Arsenal will be able to prove a point and they will keep a clean sheet. Whether it's 1-0 or 2-0, it'll be a tight game, but I think they will keep a clean sheet in that game. And then Trent against Ipswich. I know that they're away, and Ipswich are a newly promoted side, so might have something to prove, but I feel like Liverpool will just be better than Ipswich on the day. I can't really see Ipswich doing too much this season personally. I think it's going to be too much of a jump for them, and I feel confident with Trent getting into midfield and getting some assists, especially in that game against Ipswich. That's the sole reason that I've gone for Trent in defence as well. Coming into midfield, I've gone for Mo Salah, Foden, Gordon, and Bailey. So I've gone for Salah captaincy against Ipswich. I know that they're the 12:30 game, so that might be changing. But for now, because they are against Ipswich, and I feel like this season, even if Salah doesn't sign a contract extension, he's going to want to go out with a bang. So having Salah captaincy against Ipswich is a no-brainer for me personally. Foden against Chelsea, I know it kind of eliminates having Sanchez in net, but the other midfielder that I have is Nkunku, and I don't really see Nkunku doing too much against Man City. To come for Foden just based on the fact that they are against Chelsea under a new manager, and anything could happen. And because I don't have Haaland in there, so I feel like Foden will be starting almost every game for me in my FPL team. Gordon against Southampton, need I say more? They're against Southampton and they're at home. Gordon at home last season scored in near enough every game. I think he'll do the same this season, so having Gordon there almost guarantees me a goal, or at least an assist, if not both. So that's why I'm going for Gordon there. And then Bailey against West Ham. Again, I've tripled up on the Aston Villa players here, and that's just because I feel like Aston Villa this season are going to be so strong. They finished in the top 4 last season, and I think this season they'll either do the same or go on a potential title charge. But I think Bailey, with Diaby leaving, if Diaby doesn't leave, Bailey won't be in my team, so I will be starting somebody else. But if Diaby is to leave and Bailey is to still be in that team, he's probably going to start every game, so I feel like I just need to have him in because he's going to start and could potentially get goals and assists. But let me know what you think in the comments. What do you think about that Bailey pick? And then coming into my attack, João Pedro against Everton. They're away. Penalties are the only reason that he's there, really. If he doesn't look like he's going to be starting as much in pre-season, then I might be taking him out. But for now, he's there just in case. He's a placeholder for now. I think at Watkins, so that's the triple up on the Villa. And again, Watkins getting forward, he's probably going to get a goal or two against West Ham, I think. so it'll be nice to have him in, especially because I'm not going for Haaland again, so I need that goal scorer there. And then Isak at home to Southampton, so again, potential penalties and goals because he's so fast getting forward. And with Gordon next to him, I feel like both of them will cause Southampton a really big pain. So I've gone for Isaac Ler for that reason. And then if I look at my bench as well, the bench order that I've gone for is I've gone for Nkunku as first sub, then Gahey, then Harwood Bellis. So Harwood Bellis is there as the filler. I think everybody already knows that. But then Gahey coming on, that's for mainly if Konsa doesn't start, which I think he will. But if Konsa doesn't play, at least I've got Gahey to come on. Or if Konsa's to have an injury in training or whatever, Gahey's there to come on. And then Nkunku there probably won't be coming on, but just in case somebody doesn't play, at least he is there to come on anyway. And I'd rather have Nkunku as that first sub in the off chance that somebody doesn't play, because Nkunku could get a goal or at least an assist against that Man City team. But let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think this team is looking okay? And what changes do you think you would make going into that first game week? So there we have it, guys. That was my initial draft and what my team would shape up as for game week 1. So I want your thoughts in the comments. What do you think of that team that I've gone through today? Is there any players in there that you're going to steer clear of? Or is anybody in there that you're thinking, yeah, I really need them in my team based on what you've gone through today and based on the history that they do have? If you did enjoy the video, as always, hit that like button and subscribe if you are new. Until next time, thank you for watching.